Hello, beautiful people. I'm Chris Maddox. I'm the founder of the Wild Woman Project and Wild Woman Fest. And I'm speaking to you today because I always speak to you at new moon time, and the new moon is upon us. So the new moon will arrive May 25th, 2017, and it will usher in an entirely new moon cycle, which will last all the way until June 22nd. So we can really, at this new moon time, think of the fact that we are, with a level of awareness and clarity, stepping into a new moon cycle. And this way of being with moon cycles as a kind of chapter in our lives is a beautiful way to acknowledge kind of the cyclical nature of existence. The cyclical nature of the moon cycle is a beautiful mirror of, the creative process from, relative darkness to the rising and the cultivating of something, into its fullness, and the eventual letting go of that and re-entering into that darkness. This is a beautiful kind of nature teacher, the moon is. So at this new moon time, here at the Wild Woman Project, each and every new moon, we take on a theme. And the theme is always inspired by the astrological placement of that particular new moon. So we're inspired by the archetype. So this new moon on May 25th falls in the astrological sign of Gemini. And so we sort of have zoomed in on this archetype and are working with a theme. So our theme for this moon cycle, starting on May 25th, is the contemplative moon. So the contemplative moon cycle. We're looking to Gemini for this kind of inspiration. And again, a kind of teacher. So what the Gemini archetype has to show us is so vast and so much. What we're focusing on here is the mind, the mental dimension of our inner life, because we have all sorts of dimension to our inner life. We have, the energetic sort of electromagnetic field, our energy body. We have our physical body that we can feel and experience. We have our emotions that we can feel and experience. We have that sense of sort of inner knowing or intuition or inner guidance. And then we have this mental plane. This is like the perceiver, the mind. So in this theme, in this moon cycle, we're going to really kind of dig in and cultivate the depth of the mind. So there is a great gift that is actually being bestowed upon us at this time, where spirituality, is really coming into the mainstream. You can look at the fact that there's, on any in any American city, there's like definitely a yoga studio, if not, tons sprinkled, here and there, places to meditate. These things meditation is coming into the workplace, and, people are trying to take these sort of ancient spiritual ideas and take them seriously and consider what they might mean in our modern lives. So that's a great gift. And one of the things that we're learning in that process, and it's starting to come, into the collective consciousness, which is we are not our thoughts. We have thoughts. You can right now, let's just be with this for a second. You could probably notice in your own mind right now, there are thoughts happening, right? And, the Buddhists do this great thing of sort of thinking of thoughts like clouds in the sky passing by. So if we sit for long enough, we can, or we don't really need to sit for long at all, really, but we can begin to notice, oh, there's a thought. I'm having this thought now, this thought now, this thought now. And the difference now and the shift that is available to us is we're not our thoughts. So when we have a thought which says, it's just making judgment of something outside of ourselves, being judgmental or something, that's not us, but we can notice, oh, I'm having a judgmental thought. the us, the who are we piece of this, you know, you can make a strong case for we are whatever that mysterious awareness is, which can observe our thoughts. So the part that says, oh, I see that I'm thinking this or thinking that, that's that's us. And that's kind of where we want to sit, because we want to sit this cycle. We want to sort of anchor into that place of like awareness of sort of the dance of the mind and the dance of the mental plane. Because the mental plane, just like any of the planes of being, can be sort of purified, and we can start to, you know, like get more refined. The more awareness that we have about something, we can start to change our thoughts, you know. And the amazing thing that science is showing us right now is we have such a thing called neuroplasticity, which means that our brains actually can change, you know, through meditation, through these practices. Like we're not stagnant. Our mind is not stagnant. That's so exciting. Because our mind, the thoughts that we think, what's inside of our head, you know, that's what all of us are living with. From the time you wake up in the morning to the time we go to sleep, we're thinking. So what is the quality of that thought? How are we holding that thought? That's the question that we're in this moon cycle at the Wild Woman Project, as we're trying to cultivate a contemplative way of being so that we can have our mental plane kind of like in the highest octave. Or you could think of it like the depths of the mind. So contemplative practices have exist across cultures, spiritual traditions. The contemplative practice belongs to us all, you know, or it belongs to no one, however you want, you know. Contemplative practices are things like meditation. Contemplative practices can happen while walking in nature. Contemplative practice can be journaling or, you know, various forms of study. Contemplative practice is something that is so useful and so important in the time that we're living. And this Gemini constellation, so the constellation of Gemini is that of the twins. And I've been thinking a lot about the mirror between that symbolism, the twins, and the hemispheres of the brain, the right and the left hemispheres of the brain. So different, right? So different in what their function is and what the experience is there. And then you have this corpus callosum, which is this collection of nerve fibers which connects those two. It's a bridge that connects those two worlds so that there can be communication between the right and the left hemisphere of the brain. It's helpful sometimes to think about our anatomy and to contemplate what we can learn from, you know, this thing that we are, these bodies that we have, because they are an expression of nature, just like the moon is. So in these times where the narrative in the media, especially, and in politics, has become so divisive, it's like everyone's taking a very hard line, you know, and it's us, them, us, them, us, them. A contemplative practice and a contemplative way of being actually has an awareness of nuance in a way that we become good at finding the connective tissue between two seemingly opposing viewpoints. And what connects us, that bridge, that corpus callosum, is really important right now. Because sitting across a line and shouting at the other side and not listening and not trying to understand, not trying to connect, that's leading toward a world of separation. And we carry that separation. I mean, think about how bad that feels. inside of us, or like how toxic or angry or fuming the inner experience can be when we're just sitting in our own viewpoint and shouting at the other side. Versus when we're like, okay, I'm going to be it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to really consider your point of view. I'm going to really try to find the heart in you. I'm really going to try to find the places where we want the same thing. The places where we can connect. And that takes a kind of level of vulnerability and a willingness and an ability to lighten our grip on our ideas. So that's one of the other tools that we can use in service of cultivating the contemplative mind this cycle, which is holding things lightly. Gemini is an air sign. Last year when we explored feminine archetypes each new moon, we focused on the fairy archetype. I say this all to say there's a lightness of being. One of the things I really appreciate in the people that I know that have strong Gemini placements is that they are always willing to consider the point of view. These are refined, awesome people, right? So there's all sorts of levels of development in terms of the Gemini archetype. But there's a sense of I'm going to have an idea, but I'm going to hold it like this, not like this. So that when you present your idea that seems to be maybe in conflict or in opposition to my idea, instead of clunkering down and getting upset and shutting down, I say, oh, that's interesting. And I use my tools of curiosity to investigate. Oh, that's interesting. Like, where are you coming from? Oh, how's that rooted? And the questions. There's a sense of, like an exploration that can happen. This is such a gift for our times. Can we hold our ideals sort of lightly so that there's spaciousness to consider different points of view? Because I imagine, or I hope, it seems probable that a lot of the solutions that we are looking for, both in our, everyday lives, our personal sphere, and both in the collective conversation and evolution, that one of the keys that's going to unlock the door is this willingness to seek common ground and to allow ourselves to imagine that we don't know everything. That not everything is stagnant, that reality is actually mutable, changing, shifting, evolving as we relate to it. So, if this idea, cultivating the contemplative mind, is something that is inspiring to you, exciting to you, I want you to know that this is the theme for this moon cycle in our international network of Wild Woman Project circles. That is to say, there are trained Wild Woman Project circle leaders all over the world holding women's circles, where we do visualization, where we share, where we journal, where we create intentions and do ritual. And each circle leader explores this topic in her very own inspired way. So if this is something interesting and you'd like some community around this idea and to connect with other like-hearted, like-minded women, I encourage you to check out our list of Wild Woman Project circles and find one near you. And if there is not one near you, I have created a digital retreat experience called Your New Moon Companion. And it's an in-depth talk. It's a meditation. It's a dream sheet to help you clarify your intention for the cycle ahead so that we can, as a community, as an international community, be in this process together. In this question together, how can I cultivate a contemplative mind? What does that mean? How can I, grow in this way and do so in a community? So those are the ways that you can experience experience this theme in a very deep and rich way this moon cycle. And then throughout the moon cycle, we are going to send out our weekly-ish newsletter called Wild Woman Weekly-ish, and there will be tools and resources, and we're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into this subject matter. So if you are not on our email list, please go to thewildwomanproject.com. You'll see it, it's right at the top of the page. Put your name and email into the box, and you will be on this journey with us. And finally, I must say, Wild Woman Fest is coming. It's happening in August. It's happening in August. It's like getting very real. It's getting closer, you know. So Wild Woman Fest is a festival retreat hybrid. So it's workshops, rituals, yoga classes, community, like all meals are included, tons of chocolate. It is a deep, profound experience. And for the first time this year, we are having 2 sessions. One is called the waxing session and one is called the waning session. You are welcome to join us for one or both of those sessions. Most people come for just one, just for reference. So you can find more information about Wild Woman Festival at wildwomanfest.com. Okay, my dear, did you see that fly just pass by? That's our cue, our winged creature, our air being. Happy new moon to you. And I'm wishing you curiosity, understanding, depth of mind, depth of thought in the cycle ahead. And as always, I'll see you over at thewildwomanproject.com.